Welcome to today's reading. Today's reading is going to be a message from Spirit. So we have three paths for you to choose from. We have group one with the Lemurian seed clear quartz. We have group two with the Stilbite. And we have group three with the Satin spar Selenite. So you can take a moment to choose your path, whichever way you feel the most drawn to, and use the timestamps in the description box to jump ahead when you're ready, and we'll get started with group one. Hey, welcome group one to today's reading, which is just a general message from Spirit. Please remember that these readings on YouTube are just general readings only. They are not the same as a personal or private reading, although you're welcome to reach out for something like that if that's something you're interested in. So we just want to touch on this quartz for the moment. So I'm kind of getting two themes. The first theme is for those of you who work with crystals to actually program your crystals in some way. I'm not really sure. I feel like a lot of people have crystals that they kind of underutilize them. I want to kind of talk, I keep getting different crystals kind of pop through my mind, and so I'm touching on things that are branching into the Akasha, the Akashic records, and the crown chakras and everything. And then I'm also touching on clearing energy as well. So I keep getting stuff where I'm being thrown around all over the place, and I'm also getting a note to mention Phantom Quartz. I actually don't own a piece of Phantom Quartz to my knowledge, and that would be something that you could just look into if you are interested. So I guess I do have a crystal Bible that I can reference. I could actually read a page out of regarding the Phantom Quartz. But for the moment, I just want to sort of touch on this clear quartz thing with the Akasha records first. So the Lemurian seed is initially meant to have striations in the crystal where it is said that you could work with that crystal in such a way, whether you meditate and can access the Akashic records, or you can kind of, for the lack of a better way of communicating it, it's almost as if you could tap into particular records and withdraw that information. Now, I do know that they don't necessarily release all information, depending on what it is, if it was a very high level type of record, but for the most part, I think that they will most is accessible to anyone. And so it could be really helpful if you are looking for something working with past lives, or something to do with cosmos, what you are on the other side of the veil, your light being your light body, out in the universe, in the actual cosmos, what you look like over there. Not what you look like it doesn't matter what you look like, but that energy signature, so that you can learn more about yourself on the soul level, or the essence of your soul, something like that, or maybe about contracts as to why we've come here and why certain things happen in this life and whatnot. And I'm kind of also getting another crystal come to mind, Lepidolite, and I actually do have a piece of that. So when I do pause the video to go grab the crystal Bible that I can reference the Phantom Quartz, I can also grab the Lepidolite as well, to show everybody. But it can also be, not only is it great for the Akashic records as well, same thing with a connection to the crown chakra, but it can also be a crystal that is good for transformation through periods of depression, anxiety, and things like that as well. A really beautiful stone, probably one of my favorites that I've ever worked with, despite I guess all crystals do different things for different people, but time and time again has just been a phenomenal crystal for me for different things, and it just very powerful. So don't know, like that's, you know, how I feel with my connection to it. And it was one that I was actually guided to get. Like I kind of seen a picture in my mind and I had to kind of Google crystals that look similar until I found that exact one of what it looked like. And then when I did find it, and I was able to get like intuitive confirmation that that was indeed the crystal I was looking for. And I begun working with it, and it was, yeah, deeply impactful. But I don't know, this is kind of like leading me to touching on delving more into like spiritual work, whether that is just meditation or whatever it is. And I know sometimes, depending on how demanding our, like, you know, 3D kind of human earth lives are, it can kind of fall to the back burner, and it can just seem like the least important things. But I'm also kind of getting for this group that it may help with linking up with things like astral travel, the way we said the Akashic records, we said like mood stability type stuff. It's even making me think of like lithium quartz as well. So for some of you, could be coming out of like you could be in a period where there's just been a lot of stuff, and that's okay. Anyway, so we also mentioned like the programming sort of aspect. I kind of touched on it, but you are supposed to be able to use clear quartz as a crystal for programming. And if you can just like put your hands on it and you can meditate with it and you can kind of ask for like the highest good, for it to work in allegiance with like you and like the whatever crystals that you own. And it doesn't, like, this is for those of you that do have crystals, and we'll just move on to other concepts for those of you who don't have crystals in a moment anyway. Because, you know, life's not all about crystals, but they are like a very powerful tool when you do use them. So you can, even if you can give like the clear quartz the job of organizing what is like the highest good for the programming the rest of the crystals. And it's not something I do very often. I used to do it quite a lot. You know, and it was actually very helpful. And I feel like after this is, you know, kind of one of those dual messages where it's just as much for me as it is for the audience here that's listening to this. And they're kind of telling me that I need to up my game. But you can also set intention with how you want them to work. But you kind of set that intention with either, it doesn't matter how you do it. Like you could set it individually with each crystal, or you could kind of set it with the clear quartz. And have it do what it can to kind of orchestrate things. So very powerful, very underestimated, kind of overstated crystal, but also one of the best. And so the connection with the crown chakra, I think, is just going to be like something that was touched on with all of the crystals that we've mentioned so far, that will help access information from higher sources and higher guidance. So as well as like it's meant to be helpful for like actual clear direction and insight in your mind, like clear thinking and whatnot. But for this group, I do think that it will be really helpful in kind of opening you up to the universe more than what you have been. It might just be, in a sense, opening your mind as opposed to being kind of blocked off or narrow-minded in terms of like spirituality. So some of you may be going through some things where I'm not sure what your experiences have been with your spirituality, but there may be some blocks around it at the moment, and you would greatly benefit from that change being brought about. And so that's one way that they are advising that you can work towards it. So okay, now that we've got that out of the way, if you aren't working with crystals, there's still a lot to be said here about working with like the crown chakra. And so it could be third eye as well, but I feel like for this, or the soul star chakra is actually probably a phenomenal one as well. I would say if you are an avid meditator, or even if you're not, I'd encourage anybody to meditate. It's never not worth a try. But it's definitely a practice that's worthwhile leaning into and developing over time. If you are able to do some sort of like chakra meditations, whether it's like alignment or clearing, it doesn't really matter. Or even if you are focusing solely on like one chakra and just like letting anything come and go that needs to, and it will kind of maybe balance itself out, or like imagining the light come in around that chakra. It doesn't matter what it looks like or what it does to you. Some people do like spinning wheels for that chakra. Some people just, yeah, I don't know, like the light emanating off it, whatever it is that you can find a way to visualize that chakra clearing or coming into healthy balance would be really helpful. And so, yeah, particularly crown chakra and soul star chakra, like the seat of the soul. Yeah. And I think that you'll find some of you, I kind of get the feeling that you're quite actually close to your light bodies being activated, but you do have a blockage in the crown. And that when that is cleared up, that could actually help you with the rest of your chakras kind of all popping back into place or something. I don't know, that's not really like an accurate way of like explaining it, but you know, once that blockage is cleared up, then some others will free up as well. I'd say that the crown chakra or the soul star chakra here is probably affecting others. Okay, so that being said, there's also an element here of needing to work intentionally with whatever it is that you're doing. Like, I don't know if there are people in this group that like don't have like practices or anything. I would say it's a call for you to develop some type of like spiritual practice, and it doesn't matter what that is, even if it is as simple as clearing your energy, which kind of brings me to something else that I wanted to touch on before. Is some sort of energy clearing. So some of you, like an incense or a smudging would be good. You know, having your body covered by like water. So going swimming or going to a beach or having a bath, or even if all you do is get like a foot tub full of Epsom salts and warm water or something like that, just to help it. Some of you really like benefit from, especially if you do energy work, or you find that you tend to hold like a lot of energy in your hands, or your hands kind of absorb energy from things. Putting your hands on the earth itself is better than any sort of, like, you can ground a lot with your feet, but if you have trouble grounding with your feet, sometimes your hands are the easiest way to kind of pour that out and disperse it, or I don't know what the word is, to actually just ground that energy. So to put it simply, what else do we have here? I am seeing for some of you could like benefit from like some sort of fire ritual. So whether that's like some sort of burning, letting go ceremony to help clear things out could be helpful as well. Some of you focusing on joy, because I just feel like you don't have enough, and even when you do, it's just not really helpful. And so maybe some of you actually could be in quite like a deeper depression. So hence why all these things are kind of coming into alignment. Like, yeah, you can only have what joy is kind of available to you. So you can create joy and you can like bask in those small moments. But if you're in a deeper depression, you just might not really access that joy in the same way that you once did. And so I think that's like a call for some of you, if you're not already doing what you can to help yourself in an appropriate way, that this may be the time to kind of look into something. But it's also why they're bringing up these crystals. So like energy clearing, working with clearing up the crown chakra, using lepidolite. And so I'll use this moment now to go grab the crystal Bible and the lepidolite, see if there's anything else. I think I'm actually hoping that I have the crystal Bible now. If not, I'll find a way to maybe list it in the timestamps. Okay, so I have found the lepidolite crystals, but I have not had any luck finding the crystal Bible books that I was referencing. So for any of you that have that collection, depending on which version that you have, you may actually have information on the Phantom Quartz, but otherwise I'll see what I can find and add it into the description. So for the lepidolite though, this is actually what it looks like. I've shown it many times, definitely one of my favorites. Sometimes I feel like it almost looks like the galaxy or something, but you can also get like really pretty shades that are almost like a lilac color as well. Or I don't know, I don't know that this lighting on camera is actually doing it justice, but it is a beautiful stone nonetheless. So okay, there's that. Okay, so now it's actually time to take some cards. Let's see what we got. Okay, message from Spirit. I think some of you may be learning your power, and as you're learning your power, it's like other people don't really feel okay with that. I think they feel threatened that they would be left behind, and they don't really know the appropriate pathway to take here, like the appropriate action to take. And while they want their victory, the only way that they can see that they would achieve such a thing would be to actually soften and offer some sort of supportive offer, I guess, like a supportive hand or something like that. The thing is that it doesn't feel very genuine. It feels more like that this offer comes from a place of that path of least resistance. I don't want to say that it's like not genuine, because quite often, more than not, like the path of least resistance, if we can like minimize conflict and things like that, it's always like a better way to go, in my opinion, if it's not necessary or it's not helpful to a situation. But it just seems like the intention behind the supportive offer is what's not genuine. So yeah, I'm not sure if this person feels like they'll be left out of some sort of group, or if their position will sort of, like the tables will turn and their position won't matter anymore, or they'll lose their position, or they feel like you would take it or something like that. So I do feel like there are certain groups that come through in my readings where they get like messages like this quite a lot. And so I kind of tried to like flip the focus today. Not that I did, but it was kind of like an agreement with spirit of like, they're still directing it, but we were trying to kind of head in a different direction in terms of what we were going to be focusing on. But it's apparently still quite like, there's some sort of message that's still, I guess for some of you, you may be wondering whether this was like still going on or not. For maybe you've been out of contact or not paying attention because you've actually been focused on the things that kind of light you up or keep you busy, or they're inspiring you, or you've just had, even if it's not like in terms of passions and whatnot, it actually, because it could just be some sort of like relationship as well, I don't know. But for some of you, you could have like quite dire motivating factors that are really driving you to be focused on those particular things. And so while you've had your back turned, it's like someone's coming out after you kind of thing. But it's just weird. I don't know. I'm going to see if I'm going to kind of take a moment and see if I can pull through some messages here as something that would be more helpful or insightful to the situation. And I'm hoping that once we address it and we get whatever the messages are that need to be passed on, that we can kind of move on. I did just get something here that for some of you, this energy is flipped. So for some of you, you feel like somebody has like, I don't know if you feel like this person has been like flaky, or if this person has been non-committed, or they haven't had like a good reason, or their focus is externally somewhere else when it should be, I don't know, like it's like you think that their focus should be directed somewhere other than kind of where it is or what they're paying attention to, or you're not feeling the warmth from this person. It's almost as if they're like putting their warmth somewhere else, or I don't know what this is, like maybe their inspirations are taking them in a different direction, and it's kind of leaving you to, I don't know. I think this could just be lots of different things for different people here. Yeah. For some of these people, they're learning their self-determined focus, like they're choosing their own focus if they're not already being given quite demanding or significant things that they can't help but focus on. And it kind of makes me come back to like reclaiming a path of sovereignty for this person, for themselves. I wonder if this person has been pitted into competition, but not through their own willingness to want to compete with people, but kind of being forced because people have put them at odds where they've had no real other choice but to compete. Otherwise, they just would be kind of left, they would be taken down by it in some aspects. So there's that. For some of you, this person is turning away from you because they are trying to maintain their, like, I don't know what it is. It's like they're quite confident in their decision, but there's something here in their willpower where it's like they're directing their own ship. And some of you don't like that they are directing their own ship, but it's that thing about the sovereignty, like it's that person's decision to make where they direct their energy and attention and focus on what they choose to in life. And as much as you may love them or think that you're entitled to that, unless you are in like a committed connection or there's been some sort of like agreement had, then, you know, they sort of don't. Everyone has that freedom and that choice to be able to do what it is in life that they want. And as long as they're able to find a way to kind of navigate throughout life where they're not actually like trampling all over other people in finding a means to do it, then there's not really anything wrong with that either. And so this person might be actually going on a bit of like a mission, trying to find the things in life that really matter to them. So, and I do think for some of you that even if there's no real contempt here, that the way that the situation was approached was enough to kind of send this person in a different direction. So like maybe the situation itself wasn't that bad, but then when like this person's been approached, it come from a place that was a little bit like, maybe it didn't have all the information, or it was like shooting too quickly from the hip, or it was kind of maybe did have information, I'm not sure, but maybe you came after them in a way that made them feel like you were just trying to, I don't know, like put them in their place or correct. I don't really know what that energy is. It's like you wanted to tell them where they stood, I guess. And so maybe this person didn't agree. I don't know. I'm not going to continue to try to guess what it could be, but there's definitely an energy here of seeing things quite differently, approaching a situation quite differently. You know, there's different things that both people want here. Like one person wants communication. They kind of want to cut to the truth of a situation, but they actually lack a lot of clarity and focus in themselves. I don't know if that lack of clarity that they have, I think, is affecting their intent as well. So like you might feel like you have very genuine intent to want to clear up the situation, but it's actually quite clouded. And for some of you, I feel like it could be quite clouded with ego. Whereas for others of you that are no longer really interested, or you've changed your focus or something here has it kind of put you off this situation. It's like you just know that you're not going to get anywhere, or like the values don't align or something like that. So it's like you're trying to find that place where the values align, and it's less about yourselves or the little like this was wrong and that was wrong, and it's more just that, yeah. Okay. There could be something there to do with that where like fire signs and air signs are not really congruent. Yeah, and this could be not necessarily in your big three. This could be in terms of like Venus or Mercury or even Mars placements in your chart. I feel like for most of you it's in Venus. It's like how you're approaching that. I don't know how to explain it, like how we love others and community and everything like that. So, okay. Yeah, and we actually do have the Empress here as well, which is also significant for Venus. Yeah, definitely Venus placements would be worthwhile paying attention to. Okay, so they might not specifically be fire and air, but there just might be something about your Venus placements that are not working well together. So, okay, anything else here for this? Okay, so they're saying that that's everything that I've kind of got for that situation, so we can pack that up. Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's for that. We're going to try again. We're going to see what other messages that we get from Spirit. I hope it's not too confusing when we kind of have those storylines come through and we have to flip the energy. The way that I kind of bring the information through can be quite hard to navigate, making sure it's communicated clearly at the same time as receiving it the way that it does come through. So yeah, hopefully it still is easy enough to understand or resonates for people. Okay, cool. So first things first, this feels like more like where your focus is directed at. It was like you were looking for something else, and it seems like you might feel like you have narrowed it down to kind of two choices in life. And I kind of get the inside outside here versus over there, traditional path versus the maybe less secure path, but also more passion fueled path, things like that. For some of you, it could actually be regarding like passion and interest mixed, and hobbies like mixed with career focus. But for some of you, I feel like it's also like a meaning of life. And for others of you, it's like finding the fire of like-minded, kindred, I guess, heart-focused people that are inspired by the same things that you are. And that could speak to you very deeply on a soul level. And it could explain why you're in such like a non-committal energy to this other person here who just doesn't seem to understand it in such a way that you do. And if you are this other person, where you're feeling this person around you has their focus turned on something else, it could just be that for your insight, so that you can understand that there's something here. I just want to point out too, because there will be people that will come through that are in partnerships. This might not necessarily be about like having your eye or your partner having their eye on another person. It actually does give me a lot here to do with like interests, life purpose, life pathways, that type of thing. So if you do have a partner, it could explain why your partner might be going through some sort of, or this could be yourself, like I said, flip the energies, vice versa, to what actually is, resonant for your situation. But don't try to make anything fit that isn't. You or your partner could be going through, or this person around you, whoever it is that you were in connection with at some point, could have been going through quite a depressive stage in life, or lacking meaning and hope or something like that. And so that's why we actually have like the messages here come through about Lepidolite and like the clear quartz and the crown chakra, trying to like get some clear, like clarity, trying to like clear our energy, get that clarity for ourselves, transmute and transform. It's not going to happen overnight. It might take a couple months. You might surprise yourself, and it might be different in a matter of a few weeks, right? Working on what they can. And so for some of them, they're like looking for this hope and this determining factor in their life and this focus. And so they're kind of shining the light outside of themselves, looking for something to kind of grasp to like kind of pull themselves out of. And for some of them, it's kind of like a healthy thing, right? It's like, I want something more than this 9-to-5 job and doing chores around the house, and that's okay. And they could have strong interests, and they might want to go and like learn about something a lot, or they might want to do a hobby on the side when they come home from work instead of like doing hobbies for an hour after work, and that's okay too. And so that could kind of be explained to some of you, like where your person's head's at or where their heart's at. And it's just like, they're trying to dig a bit deeper, and they're trying to kind of resolve their own inner issues, and they're trying not to probably drag you into it, but they're also trying to like nurture themselves at the same time as like catch a light to the focus. Like they're trying to spark their own soul growth here, their own journey. They're trying to do something about it in I guess the only way that they know how. And so for some of you, you may be feeling like this person has all of a sudden stopped a whole heap of commitments, and they've been pouring everything into it, and it's like too much, and they're not holding up their end of the bargain. And that's also okay to recognize that that is like the real, like the truth of the situation is that, like, you know, when maybe for the last 5 years you've always done things this way, and now all of a sudden they're changing how much they want to actually contribute to the relationship. And that's like, even though it talks about this other person who doesn't have this external focus, kind of wanting to like set things straight but not necessarily coming from a place of clarity, it could be a case that like your end of like that whole thing about contribution and everything is correct, but where the lack of clarity is that you're not seeing where this person's coming from. And that maybe, like, I feel like you guys need to have a conversation if that's the case. But also, I don't want to kind of side rail or derail this reading too much, because it's not all about that type of situation. There's a lot of people here that are not in relationships. It kind of feels like a no contact or a cease contact, even if it is temporary. I'm not really sure. It'll be different for everybody. Like I said, just a reminder that this is a general reading only. It's not the same as a personal private reading. So that might be something that you're interested in, but yeah. Okay, so getting back to it. So for the person here who is trying to find this, like, this hope and this passion and this spark outside of themselves, and it almost seems like they've kind of got these two worlds in mind, and they're trying to decide between like which one, which is actually going to be like best for their soul. And what, I don't know, I think there is like a level of like strategy here too. Like, is it even like, I don't see Earth here. And the thing is that certain things, to get them off the ground, you do need to take the grounded practical steps. But sometimes if you're too grounded, you can kind of get yourself stuck, and you'll never make the move, or you'll never change anything if you don't have that determination, that focus, or that like creative spark, or that inspiration, whatever it is, that driving, motivating factor. If that's not there, you'll just never do it. And so for some of these people, it might look terribly ungrounded, and like, how on earth are they going to make this work, and they're just going to like waste all their time. And the truth is that you may not really see any results for like 6 or 12 months, but I promise you that this person is very determined, and that they will get there, and they will make it work. I don't know what that looks like for everyone. And for those of you, you may just have different ideals and what success is, and that's also okay. And that, you know, two truths can coexist at the same time as well. So now I feel like, so they know that they're looking at these two different worlds, and I feel like they're trying to be mature about the situation, and that they probably recognize that they're not so far along this path as what they would like to be able to make such a heavy hitting decision. Or I don't know if I want to say heavy hitting. Some of them, it could be life changing, and it literally could be as small as going and buying some like painting canvases from the shop that they didn't want to spend $30 or $50 on, because it's like $30 or $50 they could put towards something else. And it might not really seem like anything, but it might be just so far out of their routine. But if they do go and, you know, get the canvases and the painting gear, and they do it and they enjoy it, even if they're not great at it, some of them will be great at it, and maybe they'll develop that skill over time. For some of them, it could be like a therapeutic release. Like, you just, it's like, the more I talk about it, I kind of start to get passionate, and I start to feel the energy come up in my heart. And it's like, I think it would just be it would bring a great level of like release to this person. And so for some of you, you could recognize that this person, whether it's yourself or whoever it is that you're in contact with in this connection, that they like, it might be the only therapy that they ever get. it might be the only thing that ever makes a dent in their life in that way. And that's also okay too. Like kind of like a diversional therapy aspect. So like maybe this person won't go to see a psychologist, they won't do a counselor, they won't talk to anyone about it, but they will go paint or they will go garden, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, go create something or craft. Maybe they will just lose themselves in a hobby, and that's healthy and it's better than the alternative. So yeah. And so they're trying to be mature in this decision. They're trying to kind of just accept where they're at with whatever it is that they're kind of faced with. Like I said, for some of you, it might not be that like passion or that hobby. For some of you, they could be faced with a situation where they're at odds with like how to best handle it, and they kind of want to fight for themselves and stand up for themselves, but they also are trying to, again, be mature. And it's like not maybe in their nature to be grounded in the situation that they're faced with, but they are trying to handle it with grace the only way that they know how. And so if it's not external focused, it's like they might be trying to like funnel and focus that energy in a meaningful or helpful way. Even if it's a lot or excessive, it's still better focused in that direction than just kind of like meaningless, I don't know what I'm trying to say, meaninglessly like spewing out all over the place, where it will actually have negative effects on other people. So they're actually, yeah, it's like they recognize they're out of their depth, and they're just trying to be accepting of the situation and trying to let go what's outside of their control. They're trying to get different perception and ideas here on like how they could approach it, or are they looking at it through a lens that just doesn't make sense? But I think this is something this person's been thinking about for a long time. Like it may not be like years in the making. For some of you it would be, but for some of you, this person, it could be like 6 months, okay? I don't really want to say it's less, like it could be 6 days or 6 weeks, like it could have just been come on that quickly, where it's kind of seems like out of nowhere. But I think internally something had been stirring in this person, and even if they weren't really consciously aware of what was going on, there could have been little things that they didn't notice that were kind of like ticking boxes for something, that when it all fell into perfect alignment in one moment in time, where something happened and then it like they had enough there to make that decision, spare of the moment to just like flip whatever it was and make that decision at the time. Yeah, I don't know, this seems like there's a lot here. Hopefully this makes sense to you all. Hopefully like all the pieces come together. But also for some of you, we do have Pisces energy here as well, if that's confirmation for anyone. Okay, so I feel like this might be some of the last of the cards now. Whew. All right, so there's that maturity and trying to make a grounded decision. And I think that like maybe this person trying to make this decision, they're probably more grounded than they get credit for, but they are trying to be responsible. And so it could like result in a tower moment. This could be like a falling apart of something, or maybe everything kind of comes crashing down in one way or another, even if it is like an internal tower moment. Maybe this person realizes that what they thought they needed or wanted is not going to happen. It can't come to fruition. It's not realistic, or it's not what they wanted, or whatever this thing was that happened has just kind of changed everything for them. And so for some of you, it definitely has like betrayal energy here, where it's like you've just been blindsided. It's come out of nowhere, and you've been kind of had that feeling of being left for dead. And this could have been a person that you shared like a really deep connection with. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in a romantic relationship. There is confirmation here for those of you that are in one that is the case. But there is also the case that there would be people that just shared like, I don't know, like, yeah, a deep connection, or I don't know, a meaningful relationship, even if it is just platonic in a friend way. And that doesn't mean that it's not significant just because it's not a romantic relationship. And so for some of you, this person was the one. So that in itself kind of feels like the betrayal, that that this change has happened. But in the truth of it all, it feels like it was kind of, what was I trying to say? Like, it's, I don't know if we could expect the outcome to be any different to what it was with whatever happened. And so we also have here that after this Tower moment and this betrayal, that you get to work on focusing on whatever it is. And it could be that hobby, or it could be like some sort of, for some of you, I get the feeling of like entrepreneurial type work. But if that is the case, I feel like you're actually putting a lot of work in. You're actually like showing up every day. You're being very committed, and you're doing it in a way that doesn't threaten your security as much as others. So I feel like that grounded energy and that maturity and that trying to be responsible is actually, it's being actively demonstrated here. So yeah, and I do think that you will actually get somewhere with it if you are that person. But yeah, and I do have to say, for some of you, you may feel like, why should I have to defend this when with everything that's happened, or with who I am, or with what this is to me, or something like that, or the state of our relationship, or whatever that is. And then for others of you, it's like when the shoe was on the other foot, and it's like still lacking that clarity of where this person's coming from it, but still being like upset at the situation that they're not holding up to something that they were meant to, or there was an agreement, or it was like a perceived agreement, even if words were never said. So for some of you, it could be like something such as like a covert contract, where it was kind of like you had it in your head that that was what was meant to happen, and not like, how am I trying to say it? Like, I don't think that it was like unrealistic for you to think that. For most of you, there's definitely some people here where it was, but it was kind of like, we can't control others and we can't control the world around us. For some of you, I feel like there was a lack of self-control here, and that's what probably caused this whole scenario. So that would be hard to come to terms with if you do feel confused, or if you are lacking that clarity around whatever the situation was that played out at hand. For some of you, there was like just a lack of groundedness, or your environment wasn't steady or stable for you to be able to have that decision-making ability. And so you've done the best with what you could, with what you had available to you at the time, and that's okay. And so, yeah, I do want to say that some of you, after this Tower moment happens, you actually find your person. And when you have a coming together with the meaningful relationship with this person, it will help kind of set you up for a steady future. This person won't impede your commitments. They won't impede your work and your priorities. They won't impede upon your hobbies and your goals. And they will be, I think you'll still get like the benefits out of the relationship with them, but just in a respectful manner. Yeah, I don't know if that, yeah, is there anything else there? Yeah. Okay, that's everything that I actually have for you today, Group 1. So it's like the message from Spirit here on this situation. So hopefully it kind of sheds some light for you all. Yeah, I don't know if there's much more here that I could really say. Like, they're kind of telling me that this is it, but I just, after reading through this, it just seems like I'm at a loss. Like, there's not really much I can do here with this situation. And I wonder if that could be yours or your person's energy around whatever this was. So I wish you all luck, and I hope that you take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all in another reading. Thanks. Welcome, group 2, to today's reading. Today's reading will be your message from Spirit. So for those of you that chose the Stilbite, then this is your reading. The first thing I just want to say, there's kind of like a grounded sense of connectedness to your crown chakra here. So I feel like you're quite in balance. Yeah. And there's something here, I want to say that your auras are sealed and protected. So this group could be quite good at energy work or protecting yourself, or you are naturally protected energetically and spiritually in some way. And while I feel like there may have been things that have tried to interfere here, and you may bear some marks of whatever has happened, that overall your seal has stayed intact and there is no damage to your aura or the seal. If there is damage to the aura here, I would say it would have been from before whatever happened, but I don't see auras as something that are permanently damaged. So that could be something that you could work on, is like I don't know, for those of you that doesn't resonate for, and you know for a fact that you've experienced some sort of like psychic attack or something, or it's been a while since you've kind of checked in with yourself because life has just moved on. This could be a strong calling for you to kind of check in and do a visualization of like a general sweep of your aura and checking that it's kind of clear out and there's like no holes or anything like that in the energetic body of the aura, and that your energy is in fact sealed. But I think for most of you it is actually just strong confirmation of that is the case. Yeah. Okay, we'll see what else we have that we can work towards. So I do kind of feel cool just to get like another incense going while we're at this stage. Okay. Anyway, I hope everybody's been doing well. It's, there we go. So we're going to be using the light seers here. I don't really have any predetermined prescribed information. We'll just see what we get come through. Whatever it is that you guys do to protect your aura, I feel like it's working for you and it's very helpful. And if any of you would like help with that, I think working with seashells would be fantastic for you. And if you could try to get them to match the color of the Stilbite, would be great. It doesn't have to be, but it could be helpful. So we do have Pisces here with the Hangman. Your perception is key at this time. And I think that not only will it be very helpful in illuminating to the truth at hand, for some of you, this is almost a state of evolution because it's a perception that you didn't have access to beforehand. You could find yourselves quite comfortable here in, I want to say, like an elevated standpoint. And you may see the bigger picture of the things that are necessary to let go of, so that you can transcend whatever this moment in time is. Now, we also have to fill here with Aquarius. It's kind of like trusting the universe that like everything that is meant to happen will happen. These are both like, to me, seeming like very spiritual cards during this reading right now. So I feel like regardless of whether you feel like your situation at hand is spiritual or not in nature, there is that concept of like seeing things from that elevated standpoint and trusting that things will work out exactly how they are meant to, and that anything that is for you won't pass you by, and that it will work out. It'll kind of come together how it's meant to, right? And for others of you, the universe is kind of asking you to take a chance, to take a leap of faith here. It kind of gives me the feelings, which is a bit of a weird example that I'm getting come through, but for those of you that were drawn to group one, there may be messages there for you too that are resonant with astral travel, for example. And so astral travel for me is a bit of a weird one, where it's like spontaneous and it's very overwhelming and intense to separate from my body, and I understand it's not the same for everybody, but it's like I almost need to have that all-knowing higher state of consciousness to be trusting in the universe, or I need to be able to take that leap of faith and just throw my trust into the universe, even if I'm absolutely unsure how it'll work out. And then at that point, they can kind of take me where I need to go. But if I was to think about it, and decide, I don't want to do that, or I don't know how I feel about that, or I could just end up somewhere I don't want to be, or whatever that sort of feeling is, that kind of is self-limiting in a nature, in a sense. It can inhibit or prohibit the process. Inhibit the process. And it can in fact stop you before you even get started. And so, yeah, I feel like some of you could be caught between vibrations here. I feel compelled to tell you, like, some of you could, if that, for those of you who the astral travel is resonant for, you could kind of end up like in the ceiling or like above your body, but not really in the astral. Like, you are in the astral, but you're also kind of not. And that's okay. Like, I don't really know what to tell you about it, but that could be an example of that, like that trusting and that faith and the taking the leap and everything. And for others of you, it may not be anything to do even remotely close to astral traveling, but it could be just an example of, like, sort of, because you don't have the ability to trust all the way, that it will kind of land you somewhere neither really here or there in whatever this is. So whatever your situation at hand is. But some of you are being asked to embrace something new, maybe a little bit competitive, but creative, mostly creative. I feel like it's all about just having a go and just like testing yourself and seeing how you do with it and putting yourself out there, and just, it's having a go. But I think you're like, as you're having a go, you're kind of being free in your energy, and there is that sense of trusting again, and like confidence, and just like embracing when you learn something new, just like being confident that we all kind of start out like from a place where we don't know what we're doing, and that's okay. And that's how you get better over time. And the more that you can trust and kind of let go of your ego here and lean into it and develop it and just have fun with it, the more you'll learn more quickly as well. And so they're kind of asking you to like trust in yourself a lot more. It's like that. A lot of solar plexus energy here, so trusting in yourself, yeah, and willpower, yeah. And so for some of you, it could speak to overcoming any thoughts or nervousness or preconceived notions that you may have. But okay, and for others of you, it could be like a blend here of like building up enough heart-centered energy and focus, or where maybe you are embracing self-love to be able to embrace your authenticity as a person. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what that looks like, because I think that you'll find that there are other people that like it. And I think that you'll find that when you really embrace it and you are quite confident in it, most people will like it. And it may not look like what people typically would like, but you would be surprised by how many people that do. I just got another confirmation for those of you that were potentially drawn to group 1 as well, because she's holding a purple crystal here, and we were talking about Lepidolite during group 1. So I'll just quickly show you the crystals that I'm talking about. But yeah, confirmation there may be extra messages there for you. So, okay. For some of you, I feel like whatever this new thing is that you do could actually be quite calming and grounding for you, as well as protective. And some of you working with fire could actually be protective as well. Okay, so there's like a transmuting of heartbreak, shadow work type stuff. And I think that you will see that maybe some idealistic, I don't know, what is it? Unrealistic ideals that you had in the past are kind of like the source of this pain. But at the same time, it's like they don't want you to harden to the world or to close yourself off. It's like they want you to keep your heart open and be optimistic and remain kind of in love with life and still looking for the positives and being optimistic where you can. There's still a lot of beauty in the world, and so I think if you guys are able to effectively transmute that and do that kind of shadow work in the background, you know, it's when I say shadow work, you're just asking yourself like the harder questions and just kind of waiting for that subconscious answer to come to the surface and working with it in a way where you have a lot of compassion for yourself. You are a human, and you can only love others or see others as deeply as you can love and see yourself. Yeah. Okay. And so I feel like that would like lead to a new beginning. And that new beginning could look like doing your own thing, where you're not worried about what other people are doing. And it is like a form of self-expression. And I think it brings all the happiness in the world. And that's kind of really what matters to you all. Yeah. Not even what matters to you all, but it would just be really good. I feel like for a lot of you, it'd be quite healing, quite illuminating. Like good times, prosperity, even good health here. And for some of you, it could be like connecting with that like childlike nature again. So for some of you, you're kind of like connecting with joy again, and connecting with love again, connecting with your heart again. Heart focus, heart energy, heart chakra, self-confidence, willpower, authenticity. This is really positive. Self-expression, engaging with the world. Some of you, yeah, there's a lot of transmuting here. I think you guys, you should just, if you could give yourself like a pat on the back, or if you could take a moment to like, I don't know what it is. I feel like I want to tell you to like admire how far you've come, or something like that, or what you've been able to overcome, or I don't know, because I don't really see the history here. I don't really get a feeling for it. I just feel like you guys are in a position where you are making the most out of it, and that's all you really can do when it comes down to it. So yeah, like a strong sense of empowerment here in creating your own self-empowerment, and there's nothing better than that. Yeah, I feel like that's it. I don't know, is that everything for group 2? No, there's maybe more, but just not what these cards, like these cards are done. Okay. Wow, that's lovely. Well, that's really really good to hear. It's really good to see. I feel like even if you guys haven't had time to kind of stop and like see that about yourselves, it's like a bit of confirmation for you. All right, what do we want? Okay. Some of you may feel called to work with a pendulum at this time. It doesn't matter if you don't have a pendulum, you can make one. Even if you just get like a necklace, like you don't have to go buy like a crystal pendulum. You could have like an old necklace or a piece of string or a piece of hair, and kind of tie like a ring onto it or something like that. That may assist with the swinging, and just let, you know, do your testing of show me yes, show me no. Do a couple test questions to make sure that the energy coming through is like accurate. And I feel like you'll be called. You might have some questions that are unanswered. You may have come to this reading for, or been hoping for spirit to send something through in a reading, or pick a card or something like that. And you haven't been receiving the answer that you're wanting. And so I think spirit is kind of doing this on, not kind of on purpose and kind of not on purpose. Like part of it is like they want you to lean into and develop your own senses and your own intuition. The other part of it is they want you to become more engaged with the spirit world. And I feel like as long as you can, like, I feel like you are protected, as long as you keep up your protective practices, and lighting a candle can be both protective and grounding. So that might be a healthy tool that you can use at a time that's like, you know, sensible and practical for you to be able to do that while you work alongside your pendulum. I think that it's important to note that discernment is important for a practice like that. And working with a pendulum, I don't know if it's for everybody. Can be tricky, but I would just say as long as you're kind of testing it and you're getting answers that are kind of like confirmation, or they check out with things that you already know to be true, then it's probably not a bad practice or exercise for you to engage in. Okay, so we have the offering. Yeah, I think this is kind of like spirit or universe wanting to offer you something. Yeah. It's sort of getting like a yucky energy of like the green-eyed monster coming through here, where there's like someone that's wanting to kind of compete with you. It's weird, right? Because I'm kind of getting like two messages kind of split down the middle. One is that the universe has some sort of offering for you, and the other is that someone has an offer for you. This is also confirmation on group one again. I don't think I've had this many confirmations for a reading for like a second group in these picker cards before. So like someone wants to give you an offer that kind of seems divine or something like that, but it actually doesn't come from a good place. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm actually going to read from the book on this group for the offering for this page, and we'll see if we can get some extra information that would be helpful to you all. Here we have, might kind of all tie in together for you. Like maybe when you do these exercises, you're kind of asking about an offer that's already been made, or a particular person or situation, or something like what we had kind of semi coming through in the cards. But I guess we'll just see. Here we go, the offering. Okay, let's see if we get this in front. The gift, the present, the sacrifice. Unlike many of the other cards in the deck, the offering carries a clear as day message and a call to action. As you may have guessed, it is time for something to be given and given up. And for the sake of the bigger picture, if nothing comes to mind immediately, though it's likely it will, take time in meditation to consider what must be offered and who is to receive it. It's likely you'll feel attachment and hesitancy. You make excuses, but recognize the link between the word sacrifice and the word sacred. One leads to the other, and when we offer up something to the greater good, we lighten our load and become more able to serve. Imagine for a moment if you were to offer your whole self unconditionally to the world. For now, start small. Once a week, Gandhi gave up speaking for a day, offering himself to divine silence, and the offering can come in all shapes and sizes. If there is a gift you've been thinking of giving someone special, now is the time. When light, generosity, donation, volunteering. When dark, giving with expectations, keeping track. Go deeper. Odin's sacrifice of his Iron Norse mythology. Yeah. So, I guess what I would say to you all is that if it's, you're having trouble determining whether this offer is good or not, that you could take time to maybe ask questions, take time to go within, do the meditation or try the pendulum or something like that, and see if there is a way that you can get extra confirmation. But I would listen to group one first before you make any decisions, but ultimately kind of trust your own intuition. There's nothing more powerful, but I already feel like this group was coming from a good place, so I can't tell if group one was kind of like a previous situation, or it's different timelines or different angles of the same, like maybe it's kind of two different scenarios playing out in the same person's life. I'm not really sure here, so hopefully this is helpful to you all. But yeah, definitely something about that offer, even if it's not a bad offer, there's something about that's unseen that you may not understand or may not come to light straight away. So okay, that's actually everything I have for you today, group two. Hopefully this is helpful to you all in some way. And that was your message from Spirit. Take care. Thank you. Hey, welcome group three to today's message from Spirit. If you chose the Selenite or the Satin Spa, this is actually your message. How cool is that? Okay, so I'm just going to start by taking some tarot cards. Not really getting too many messages come through for this group. I feel like you're probably already quite aware, quite in touch with yourself, or in touch with your own intuition or divine guidance. Even if you don't feel like you are, I feel like your energy is clean and clear and kind of ready to go for something here, even to a point where it's like you may be quite clear in your energy and grounded as well. You might just naturally have a lifestyle that fits for that. And so for some of you, We do have like these new beginning energy here where it's like you may have actually had to start over. And so for some of you, that's what that selenite or that satin spa could actually be representative of, is because you've done the clearing already and you are starting fresh. And so there is actually nothing in your energy that can impede. I don't feel like anyone's leading you astray here. I feel like there's probably been a couple of souls that have helped govern you to safety of some kind, and anything else has been left in the distance. And I think this kind of, I'm getting a vibe for the people in this reading that you may be taking time to kind of like really ground into your environment or get comfortable or just enjoy your like human life again. Like you might not have sat down and like watched a movie on the couch and been really comfortable with like a nice blanket for a long time, and maybe you're getting to rest. And if it's not that, some of you may just like enjoy the environment that you're in, or you've been in a position where you've been able to have like certain items that you really enjoy having like in your presence. And I know that that might like sound kind of I don't know what's the word, like not shallow, but like I don't know what it is, materialistic. It's not materialistic at all. I kind of get like a sense of like attachment and what's the other thing when you get like actually quite sense, I can't think of the word, it's on the tip of my tongue. Sentimental attachment like to these things that you really like, and they just like give you joy out of nowhere, and it's kind of like crazy but just the best. And I can so connect to that being like an earth sign, but I also have like, I have the Virgo Sun, so I like stuff, but I have the you know, Aquarius Moon, so it's like also healthy level of detachment. I find like I can get a little bit minimalistic, so the things that I have, I like to have the things that I like if I'm going to have them, but I also have that Scorpio rising, and I do get sentimental about things, so they kind of all come together in such a way that I'm like, oh, this could be a message from spirit to me as well as you. So anyway, but for others of you, it could actually be like enjoying like good food or like good health, or even if it's not that, maybe some of you have, I kind of almost get the sense that some of you may have gone and bought something new that you're enjoying. And some of you could have like actually grown in addition to terms of family. So like some of you could have gone out and got like a new game console, and you're like really enjoying playing this new game console. But for others of you, you might have actually gone and got like a new pet, like a dog or something. And it's like, I kind of, I like getting that come through in a reading like this, because it is kind of confirmation to my own intuition and my own knowledge. I have got a couple friends that have actually got new puppies in the last week, so it's kind of crazy that this is coming through for me. But also, like, if you're here and this is yours, then maybe that Six of Swords energy coming through with that new start, it's kind of just like, I don't know, leaving behind like a different state of mind or a different lifestyle or something. I don't really know what that is. And just kind of like getting lots of enjoyment out of like, you know, the earth around you and the people or the animals around you, something like that. I do feel like you will have a lot of, what am I trying to say? I'm kind of getting a couple things coming through here at once. So for some of you, you'll develop like such a strong connection with this animal over time. For those of you, it is an animal, that this animal will actually be really protective of you, and it kind of won't leave your side. And it's that protection. It's like strongly protective. For those of you that this isn't a physical animal, it could actually be like an animal in spirit. I actually have like a wolf spirit, and that kind of comes with me. It just kind of showed up for me. And so it like, it doesn't have to be a wolf. It could be an animal spirit. It could just actually be like any spirit. It doesn't matter what form it takes. For some of you, I do get like bodhisattva energy, but I also get I don't know, like an ethereal being. I don't know what else you would say. Some of you, I do almost get like a Buddha type. I don't even know. I think there's Buddha is meant to show up as like different things in different cultures. There is some type of like leading deity type of energy here that's showing up with you all, that's like highly magical, very deeply rooted in your like well-being and your come up in your like earthly existence. And whew, this is a lot. Sorry, it's just the energy, it's not the message itself, it's just, it does seem like a lot. So I don't know for some of you if it's like kind of like a confirmation that's a little bit profound, or if it's a case that like it is just the energy I'm experiencing is kind of a lot to come through. But I do feel like between, in the ways that they help you with like security and groundedness and like feelings of safety and whatnot, they could be, it's like a survival thing. So for some of you that this being has like helped guide you through survival. For some of you, you know, maybe this puppy is kind of like one of those things that helps you kind of keep holding on or something like that. It might not be a puppy, as I said, but you're definitely being looked over here in some way, or it's kind of like an attachment to the physical world that keeps you grounded here, and for that we are thankful. And for those of you that, you know, you may feel like you're needing some extra help at this time, like don't ever not feel, don't ever feel ashamed of needing or wanting help. Okay, so, but I also want to kind of go back and mention that there is this deep sentimental attachment, and there is a deep sense of like wanting to protect you, okay? I feel like I get the sense of you are deeply loved from this being, whatever that being is. And I do feel like they do give you a lot of joy and fulfillment. And to be honest, you don't really look sad. But I do feel like for some of you, it's kind of like the alternate. It's like this, or kind of stepping into some of those like ickier things that we don't really want to. And so sometimes that distraction, it's like a healthy distraction. So it's actually good to have something positive to like, you know, focus on externally that can like break up the day and kind of give you something like really positive to focus on. And like, you know, I feel like animals, they see you and they just love you and they just want to have your time and attention and energy. And I almost want to cry when I'm like talking about, because it seems to like mean a lot to you or to them. Probably both, right? I feel like it's a pretty steady connection, like a pretty deep connection, or it's very important, it's very significant. For some of you, you have a spirit guide that's come to you in the form of an animal, and it actually means a lot to both of you to be incarnated in this life together, and it doesn't matter what form it is. I have one soul tie connection that I've done I can't remember if it was exactly that number or over, like 143 lives together, and I have actually been I guess their pet dog in one life. And it was like kind of different experiencing living a life with them through the lens of like being this like animal companion, where you just have this like devoted trust and companionship out of nowhere, and it's like unquestionable loyalty. It was crazy. But it was like a deep sense of having your back, and so maybe that's what this connection does help for you. For others of you, I don't know, this is kind of weird, right? Because it's like you're showing up as like King of Pentacles here, and King of Pentacles is meant to have a lot of the stuff, right? Like career aspects or hobby aspects, or being skilled, or like having like a legacy or a good, maybe a bit of money in the bank for the first time in a while since this new situation started. Maybe you got a big pay this week. Maybe you're actually like quite comfortable where you are. Maybe you kind of set up, maybe you got like a couple of assets or something, or maybe it's literally just like how rooted and grounded. Maybe you're developing consistency and routine. Maybe you're beginning to build, but like in a meaningful way, where it has like the potential to go to like that level, long-term sustainability, but exponential growth if you can stay on this path. And I mean, it feels like for some of you may feel like there's kind of like a toxic attachment to that life. And for some of you, I feel like it's kind of like teetering on either side of it. Like, you know, living this healthy, you know, life, and I'm enjoying these things, but at the same time, I need to work this job that like pays these bills, and I don't like the job, but it like gives me these things that I like, but I don't have my freedom, or I don't know what it is. For some of you, it's like your own mental health is kind of like in conflict, like negative self-talk and the narratives that you are experiencing. And I don't know if that's something that you've brought about yourself as like an adaptive or a maladaptive kind of coping mechanism, or if it was like things that you were told when you were growing up, or maybe it's neither of those. Maybe like your life experiences just haven't necessarily worked out in a way that has shown you a story that you could be positive about. And I don't think that it's the case that there isn't that potential, but I think that we've maybe internalized this story in such a way that kind of keeps us trapped. Reliving these situations for some of you could have, for some of you, I want to say like mental health could be definitely present here. So like I said, if you need help, I'd advise you to seek whatever the appropriate like medical help is, or licensed, or I don't know what that looks like for you. I don't know what your path has been. I don't know what you've already had access to, as long as you are supporting yourself in whatever way that you can, and you are human, and we love you, and we have compassion for you. And I feel like this is like the divine is trying to reach out to you, and they're saying that we want you to stay here. I kind of, whew, okay. All right. It just gets a lot. I feel like there's like that flooding of emotions, and it's kind of where they're like wanting me to like breathe and ground and come back down. So it's kind of like that passing on of the messages from the divine. And so I understand that that could probably be a little bit triggering for some of you, but it is also that case of like that flooding, that swelling up of emotions, or the flooding of emotions. I think for some of you, it's like they want you to be able to process things, or, you know, it's that emotional release. If you need to cry, cry. Like, God forbid, just cry. I don't know. Okay, so, and I think like in those moments, if you did have like a sweet little puppy that could come and like just want to pat and annoy you when you might be a bit sad or upset or something, then that would be the perfect moment. And if like you don't have any of those real physical, sentimental attachments to the world, now could be the time to get one, even if it's something small, inexpensive, something that needs like nurturing or looking after, like a plant. Like if you don't really feel like you're at animal level, maybe a plant's the way to go, and that's okay too. And I think that you'll find a certain type of expression come out in you in which you are quite nurturing and almost maternal, whether you are like feminine or masculine that you you know, like identify with or show up as, doesn't matter. But it will kind of give you a space to see yourself through more of a feminine aspect, where you are nurturing and you are inviting prosperity into your life, but you are actually capable. I feel like this group's like entirely capable, and you might have moments where you don't feel like you are, and it's just not true. And yeah, I think like, I don't know if this group has like, you know, these emotional roller coasters or something like that, but I also feel inclined to kind of talk about like the neural pathways, and kind of like, you know, the more we think something, the more that like we are encouraging those neural networks, like like the neural networks or pathways that like fire together, wire together over time, right? So the more that we think that thing, the more that it becomes like an automated response in us kind of thing. And that we do have neuroplasticity. We do have more control over it than we think, despite our circumstances, what life may hand us at times. But you do have the ability, even if you only get it 1 in 10 times, where you like challenge the thought, or you challenge the emotion, and you're like, why can't I love myself? Why do I have to feel that way about myself, or something like that? And you might get really emotional. You might have a big cry, and that's okay. And then you might go get pats from your puppy, or a hug or something, or a child. It doesn't matter. Or you might find love somewhere, even if it is in the sentimental attachment of like a physical object that you just weirdly love way too much, and that's okay. And it might just be a cozy blanket, and that's also okay. And it might be reading a book that kind of helps you escape, or putting on a show, or I don't know what it is. Some of you, I feel like you have good mental clarity despite everything coming through here, right? So some of you might flip, or things happen and they kind of set you into this like downward kind of like nature, but I don't think it lasts for long. I don't think that's all that you are, or all that there is to you and to you as a person, your identity or anything like that. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with you. I think you're human. And it's kind of just part of the journey, and that you are more than capable of overcoming it. And sometimes it's kind of like, some of you, I feel like you might work too hard, and you might not take enough time to kind of focus on the things in life that you enjoy, and this is a calling for you to do that. I feel like some of you give your mind too much power. Like, you're giving your mind too much credit, and the mind is like an exponentially crazy tool that we have access to, right? But if you let it run rampant, it can. and that our mind doesn't actually always know best, and that our mind isn't always clear. And so sometimes, like, we can have that ability to get in our heads or ruminate or something like that. And I think this is where they're kind of asking you to, like, start over. How, I don't know if you have some sort of plan, if this has already happened or not, because now the more that I talk about this, I feel like some of you may not have really taken that first step to kind of, like, leave whatever that is behind. Like, maybe you've got to make that decision in yourself that maybe you only have so much control over, like, your nervous system and things like that, but you're making the decision that today's the day I'm going to start the change. And even if the change is 1 in 20 times that I am able to achieve that, that's okay, because I'll continue to try, and over time those numbers will get smaller until it's 1 in 2 times, and it will take time, and that's okay. And then eventually these, like, neural pathways that, like, you know, the ones that fire together wire together, it will change. It will be completely different, and it will be so much easier for you, and it won't be half the amount of work, and I don't think you'll feel so consumed by it or overcome by it. And I think you'll start to find, like, a greater sense of joy. So when you experience joy, it will be more intense. It will be more meaningful, but that expression is important, that maternal expression or feminine expression in you. And I know, like, I'm looking at this card and it's clearly like a man here, but it's like that looking after something. But I mean, you know, you can be masculine and still provide, and you can still have that sense of security, and you can still, like, provide protection and things like that. So it doesn't really matter what it is, as long as it's looking after something and, you know, giving a sense of shelter and everything like that. So, and for some of you, it could have been a sense that you kind of had to leave behind a situation like that did give you that joy and did give you that, that sentimental attachment, and you might be going through a grieving process. And so, you know, that too is also okay, and we're just human. And sometimes you might go through these, like, different phases or different stages of, like, a grieving process, and that's okay too. And it is just ultimately whatever the waves are that take us wherever we go. Ultimately, all we can do is kind of end up accepting to our circumstance and situation, and that if you've done it before, you can do it again, and you will find a greater sense and purpose and attachment in this world that will serve you in a way that, you know, will be really helpful to you. So, okay. For the Bodhisattva thing, I feel like there's more here to it, but I'm just not getting a lot come through about it. And so that might be something that you feel inclined to go and research and look into a little bit and see if it is helpful to you in some way. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know a lot about them. I think they're like very important. They're like, you may not feel like your life is very meaningful, but it's very meaningful to those around you that sort of come into contact with you over time, and that they engage with you and have experience with you. So yeah. Okay, I don't know, this is like a weird side note, but, you know, maybe it'll make us feel better in, like, the, you know, everything, the scheme of everything. Some of you, I feel like your hair is looking pretty good. And for some of you, your aura is probably also looking pretty good as well. And it could be like part of that indication of that, like, good energy and good, like, aura hygiene and cleanliness. So I feel like maybe for some of you, this is like just an absolute confirmation on everything that you've been going through. And it might be emotional, kind of hearing readings like this, and that's okay. But it's just part of that process and that upkeep, and, like, how you maintain such a fabulous aura, because you actually are processing things, and you're, like, you know, I feel like some of you, when you get upset, it might just be a lot, it might be overwhelming, or you might get a little bit consumed by it, but you just know that you're literally doing the only thing you can and the best thing you can for yourself, and that's fantastic. So yeah, okay, hopefully this wasn't you know, too sensitive for you guys. I feel like you're actually doing quite well despite your situation, and that you're kind of, even if you don't really resonate with being like an intuitive group or an intuitive person, that I feel like you have a good sense in how you operate within the world, within your circumstances, and who you are as a person, and you do well with it. So I think this is kind of like, keep it up, and do what you can to like lean into those sentimental attachments, if that's, I don't know how I feel about giving a message like that, because I know that people can experience addiction in all forms, and I know that sometimes that can look like physical, materialistic, sentimental attachments, and kind of collecting things in a way that can kind of take over. And you know, if that's the alternative to a more, I don't know what the word is, risk type taking behavior, then that's okay. Yeah. Okay. But as said, as always, make sure you're doing what you can to look after yourself and take care of yourself. And hopefully this is helpful to you all in some way. And I'll see you all in another reading. Take good care of yourselves, group 3. Bye.